All right, Tom Jacoma's Power Networking Club with a power talk with registered nurse and functional medicine practitioner Joan Zietlow. Hello, Joan.
Hi, Tom. Hi, everybody.
Joan, you're going to talk to us today about thermography versus mammography.
Well, it's not versus. It's really it's an adjunct or it's an additional scanning availability to women that it's really important for them to know that it exists and what they can learn from it. But it's not an alternative. It was approved back in '82 by the FDA for scanning of the breast, but it wasn't approved as in do this, not that.
Got it.
And but it's important to understand the differences and why you would want to add a thermogram to your process of taking responsibility for your health and getting the best information that you can so you can be as proactive as possible. And that's what I like about thermograms because it fits into my shall we say thinking of health, in that I don't want to wait till somebody has a health issue. I want them to understand what are the things that they can do to avoid what is happening at an astronomical rate in our country and our world, but especially in our country. We have so many reasons for why we have cancer, just going off the roof. Why do we have autism growing at the rate that it's growing? Why do we have breast cancer growing at the rate? I mean, 1 in 8 women are going to have breast cancer, and that's not, those aren't small numbers. And so when there's a technology out there that can help a woman identify that something is going on in her armpit or in her breast, where she can start looking at, well, why do I have this inflammation, as opposed to the the mammogram where, okay, now we've got the cancer, has gone that far, and now we've got a technology that says, yeah, you know, it's pretty possible that you do have cancer, and you probably have to do some additional testing to find out what's going on. And hopefully the woman is looking at, what are the possibilities of that this is a benign tumor and doesn't need to be, taken out or something like that. But I just want women to have the knowledge of knowing that there's a technology out there that will give them information 5 to 8 years before you're going to get information in a mammogram. It's going to tell you that there's physiological changes in the breast or the armpit. And that's another piece, is that a mammogram tells you nothing about what's going on in the armpit. And that's where, some of the breast cancer can start. So it's good to be looking at both areas because they're lymph and they're frequently changing, and it's an area where we have fast changes going on. And the other thing is that 20% of the women every year that are going to get breast cancer are under the age of 40. Well, there's nothing out there for the woman under the age of 40. And so why not have a yearly thermogram to at least be looking for, is there something of inflammation showing up in the breast at that age? Because we've seen that for those that get the breast cancer at that younger age, their breast cancer is typically more aggressive than some of the other breast cancers. So to not have anything for them is craziness in my mind. And so I want these under 40-year-olds to know that the thermogram exists. And just like, any other test, you don't put 100% of your money on it, but you use it as a tool for figuring out, okay, what's going on and what is the next level of what do I need to be looking at? What do I need to understand about why is inflammation showing up in part of my body? And I want women to know Well, men too, because men get breast cancer, just not at the level that women do.
Sure.
But it's critical. Oh, I heard a kitty. And so, it's important that, you know, we know as much as we can possibly know. And the the physiological changes are, if you've got a little tiny tumor starting and you've got more circulation building around that tumor, so that it finally gets to the level and the size it would show up on a mammogram. Well, if a thermogram can show you 5 to 8 years before a mammogram says you have cancer, that you've got this much time to start looking at, well, why are there physiological changes happening in my breast? Then you've got a whole lot of time to turn whatever hormonal or nutrition issues you've got going on around, and let's just not have it turn into cancer, is kind of where I'm coming from. I um i you know i i i kind of like the group to know why you and I have teamed up to tell women about thermography, and how that is an additional scanning technique for eliminating the number, minimizing the number of women that get breast cancer. And I'd like you to speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So unfortunately, I lost my sister in 2017. To your point, she was 41 when she passed away. So I think she was like right at her 40th birthday when she discovered the cancer. And within 18 months, she was gone. And, it was obviously a very traumatic experience. And it's what kind of brought me to, um, partner with people like you to try and teach men and women how to avoid and or treat cancer naturally, because there's a woman who survived cancer whose name is Lourdes Colon, who her and her husband live in Los Angeles. They're originally from the Chicago area, and she was coaching us at the end of my sister's life. It was just a little too little too late, but my sister did rebound and did come out of a catatonic state with all natural wheatgrass, fulvic acid, and organic green smoothies. But it was literally after a prognosis of, she's only got 3 to 5 days to live. And then so she ended up living 25 days only because of Lourdes and the protocol that we were using. I believe she would have survived actually if the doctors had not colluded with her spouse and blocked the coffee enemas, which was the final step of extracting the dead cancer cells out of the body. So that it was that's its own traumatic experience. I'm writing a book about that experience because I was so traumatized to see that what the medical industry didn't know and or wouldn't help us execute. So I want to bring that awareness to people. So that's kind of what brought me to approaching you and others like you to try and save others in her honor now.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm, every time I hear about the people that have been lost to breast cancer, and the number of people that come and get a thermogram, and I don't do the thermogram. I have Dr. Wanda Rujan come in, and she is a 12-year, 13-year board certified thermography person. And so you go to the people that can provide you information and look at what's going on. And when I finally get to have people come in and they're like, oh yeah, I've been kind of hearing about this, but I've never known where to go to get it. That's why I have at least once a month Dr. Wanda coming in to do the thermograms. And she but it's always interesting to me of how many women, when I'm talking about what is a thermogram and why would you want to invest in it, they'll be like, well, what is it, and why isn't it covered by insurance? And the whole thing is, it's sad, but it's the truth, is that we really don't have a healthcare system in our country. We have what I consider a disease management, dis-ease in the body. And unfortunately, cancer, just the cancer business for breast cancer, is a multi-billion dollar business. And so there's multi-billions in people coming and getting their breast radiated for a mammogram. There's multi billions in the sense of, if you get surgery or if you get chemo or if you get radiation, all of those are incredibly huge money makers.
Yeah.
And if you can spend $225 out of your pocket to get a picture of, gee, something's going on here, let's nip it in the bud now before it turns into cancer, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
And just like any other technology, you can't put 100% of your money on one thing. So just like I would never accept, if I was doing the mammogram and the mammogram said, oh, you've got cancer, we're going to do surgery, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's like, no, you're not going to do anything else. I'm getting a second opinion, I'm getting a third opinion.
Absolutely.
And if something's happening in a thermogram, I would expect the woman to do the exact same thing, in the sense that I want to know more information. And I want to give you I'm hoping this is going to show up on here. So this is the progression. Let's see if I can get this. So the top one is the baseline. And if you look at the top right, you'll see a little bit of red. I don't know if I can hold this and touch it. No. Let's see. If I can point up to here,
Yeah.
you've got just a little bit of red coming in, and that's where your cancer is starting. And then if we move over a little bit, I'm going to move it over to here. So you'll see that this is at 3 months. 3 months.
Yeah.
And then at 6 months, you've got a larger red area.
Uh-huh.
And then you move over to 9 months, you got a much larger area. And at 12 months, you've got a significant change. And you're looking at this inflammation. Inflammation shows up red on a thermogram, and it shouldn't be there. You shouldn't have inflammation in the breast. You shouldn't have inflammation showing up underneath your armpits. And that's one of the things, when you do a thermogram, there is no radiation. There is no smashing of the breast with 50 pounds of these plates coming down.
Yeah.
All you're going to do is you're going to sit for 20 minutes with your hands up, and you're going to be acclimating the breast and the armpit to a temperature between 68 and 72 degrees. And we're going to be looking for temperature changes in the breasts and in the armpits. And that's it. I mean, in a half an hour's time, you have cooled off your chest, and you've had pictures taken, and you're back, with your shirt back on, talking with Dr. Wanda about, what did you see? And is there anything that I need to start looking at? And some of the first things that we look at is, how are you managing your stress? And one of the reasons why I think this is one of the best times for people to be looking at a thermogram is because this is totally, you can easily do your 6 foot of spacing. Doesn't matter that you've got a mask on, because we're not really doing a temperature up here, unless you want a temperature up here, because we can look at what's going on with the thyroid. And many women have asked for us to do a temperature change of what's going on here. But the whole idea is that, again, let's just see why. Have your iodine levels checked. Have some of your D3 levels checked, not some of, your D3 level checked, because there's so many things that need to be in place for you not to have inflammation in the body. And when you do, it's like, why? There's always a reason. The body is magnificent in its healing capability. And why does it do what it does? It doesn't do it just for fun. It's reacting to something. And so Dr. Wanda and myself, we work with the person to help them bring their body back into balance. And it's a once a year thing. Yes, it's $225 investment that you're going to make in yourself. And I think it is incredibly worth it because prevention is totally where it's at. If you wait until you have the breast cancer, then you're constantly chasing your tail.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't think, is in the best interest of any person, and especially for those under 40. They're, you know, I can't help but believe that I know that there's an increase in breast cancer with the amount of radiation that people get. And so, gee, if you're going to radiate the breast from age 20 to 40, that might not be such a good thing,
No.
especially the younger the breasts are. Especially, we know we don't have a ton of data on the 20 to 40, but we do know that the breast between 40 and 50 is much more dense, and so it tends to give us more false positives on a mammogram because of that density. But it's also one of the reasons why they have to put more pressure smashing the breast to get it flat, so when you radiate it you can see, more information.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely women that they're not doing anything. They're not doing a thermogram or they're not doing a mammogram because they can't tolerate the pain of the discomfort. And what I've found is that typically the women that have the larger breasts, they are the ones that are much more uncomfortable than someone who has a smaller breast, because if they have the larger breast, they're smashing it that much more,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty uncomfortable. And there have been people that have actually fainted from the pain. And
Wow.
when you faint with your breast in a wedge,
Oh my God.
there's some pretty nasty things that happen to the body, and I'm not going to go into that because I'm not here to scare people, and it's not like it happens to a lot of people. But if you're the woman that fainted and ripped your breast, you're going to remember it for a long period of time. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of what. So it's important for women to know no pain, there's no radiation, you have immediate answers. So there isn't, you're sitting in front of Dr. Wanda, and if she's seeing something there, she's going to ask to do maybe even a couple more angles to the breast just to make sure that we're seeing something. But you're not waiting a long time to get the report from her. You've basically got some immediate feedback. I'm seeing something, I'm not seeing something. And then in a couple days time, you are going to get the pictures of the thermogram so that you've got that record and you can follow that. Because I think there's some beauty in that, in the sense that when you go for a mammogram, you're typically not getting the pictures of your breast. You're getting a report that says everything's okay or everything's not okay. Or we want you to come in and do a diagnostic. And a diagnostic mammogram means they're going to compress the breast even more. And now, because this happened to me, is that they will pull the skin of the armpit into where they would typically put the breast, and smash that. And it's not easy to get the little bit of tissue that's underneath your arm into one of those machines. I mean, you suddenly feel like you maybe should have done more yoga or something, that you can twist so they can get you how they want to see things, because it is very, very challenging to try to do a mammogram to look at what's going in the armpits, as opposed to if you're going like this and you're taking a temperature change in the armpit, you're getting some really good information, and you're getting it immediately. So those are some of the reasons that I'm very pro adding this technique of scanning into a woman's health, everything that she's doing for her health.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I'm talking about in the sense of why I am a proponent of women adding thermograms to their health, breast health? Is there any questions about what we do when we see inflammation?
No, not from me. I became aware of thermography, obviously, like so many other things, too late for my sister. That's why I'm dedicating my life now to helping other women and men, take steps in maintaining their health,
Yeah.
and what to do now. I'm much better equipped now. If my sister was still here, and she gave me that phone call, and I'd say, okay, listen, this is what you need to do. Whereas 4 years ago, when I got that call, I was not equipped. I was not ready. So until
Right.
it happens to you or someone in your family, we really don't equip ourselves, unfortunately. So we're going to be doing regular monthly health seminars all over Chicagoland, including one with you.
Yep.
And people can find that information on powernetworkingclub.com.
Yep.
And I know that you're doing a thermography session next week. However, I want to keep this talk generic so that we can
Yep.
post it throughout the year. So
Yep.
how do people get in touch with you to get information about upcoming thermography sessions?
So just call me at 847-826-7757, and we'll compare calendars. But pretty much I try to focus on the first Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
I'm at 790 West Frontage Road in Northfield, 60093-1910. And you want to give yourself that you're going to be in the building for 45 minutes, but probably 15 of that is kind of getting in and getting out. It'll be half an hour basically for you to take everything off from the waist up, get cooled down, take the pictures, talk a little bit with Dr. Wanda, and you'll be out the door. You
Yeah.
do have to wear a mask to come into the building.
Sure. As of right now, we're in May of 2020, so
Yep.
we're just at the kind of the tail end of this pandemic situation. But we'll be doing this all year round, and we'll also be tying a health seminar into this so that people are aware of. If they book an appointment, they might be able to attend a seminar where they'll get additional information about other modalities on how to stay healthy
Absolutely.
and what to do, what steps to take if you have been diagnosed. Be prepared, because, like I said, fortunately with my sister, we were not prepared, and it was too little, too late.
Mhm.
So thank you very much, Joan. I really appreciate your partnership and what we're doing here together to help people become aware of their health, and look forward to seeing you there next week and every month.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate your commitment to women's health and men's health. And yeah, because when men get breast cancer, theirs is typically very aggressive also.
Sure.
So it
And,
makes sense to
you
get
know,
that picture and find out there's nothing going on in there.
yeah, of course, and it's
Yeah,
all types of cancer. So there's, they're going to learn things at the seminars to help with,
absolutely.
not just breast cancer, but any type of cancer or disease.
Right. And there's just one thing I want to say real quick before we close, and that it's very important for people to understand that stress is an instigator in the body for inflammation. And so there hasn't been, to my knowledge, anything more stressful than what we have going on in our country right now. And
Exactly.
so if you're thinking that, well, maybe I'm not managing my stress as well as I could be, but I want to know how's it looking when it comes to this area of my body. This is, a way to get, I think, definitely some, okay, this is okay here. I can, lighten up a little bit because there's people that, because so many things have been stopped and so many preventative things are not happening, that there are things happening in people's bodies and there are deaths that shouldn't be happening because all of this is considered, you know so fortunately, as a nurse, and Dr. Wanda as a physician, these are considered, something that we can do to
Yeah.
keep moving forward. So
Sure, sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. And people need to understand the importance of sunshine and fresh air and getting out with or without that mask, and human connection, exercise, eating good food, and drinking, good water. There's good
Yep.
water, and then there's not so good water.
Yep.
And then we'll tackle all of these things at our seminars.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, Joan.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great day. Get out in the sunshine.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.